Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Amira's Champion Every Voice podcast, where we elevate the voices of educators and leaders who are creating meaningful experiences for students every day. I'm really excited about today's conversation because we're talking about literacy in early childhood and what it truly takes to support our early learners and other educators in powerful ways. I'm joined today by Olevia Griffin, a classroom teacher in Louisiana who is deeply committed to early literacy and helping young readers build strong foundations. Olevia is also an Amira champion. And Olevia, we thank you so much for being here today. As I always say, let's get this reading party started. Welcome, Olevia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, we're so excited to have this conversation today. I remember meeting you in a champions meeting, and I
Mhm.
was so intrigued by the information you were sharing about how you celebrate literacy with your boys and girls. And so we're
Mhm.
just excited to discuss that with you today. How are you feeling before we dive into your background?
I feel good. Today's Friday. We're doing a little party this afternoon, so I feel pretty good today.
Awesome. You guys are still celebrating from the first time I
Still
met you.
celebrating.
We're talking about celebrating, and even today during our podcast, still
Yes,
celebrating.
ma'am.
Love it. Well, Olivia, let's jump right in. Can you tell me a little bit about your background as a classroom teacher in Louisiana? And tell us a little bit about what led you to become a teacher.
Okay, I am a second grade teacher in Louisiana, and I teach all core subjects at Delha Elementary. I've been in education for about 11 years. I started as a substitute teacher for 2 years. I became a paraprofessional for 3 years, and I have been in the classroom as a classroom teacher for the past 6 years. Those experiences really shaped how I support students at different levels. And early on, I noticed that everything comes back to reading. I know we're talking about literacy today, and I just am thankful for all of the before that shaped me for the now.
Wow. Wow. So you were a substitute teacher and you
Mhm,
ended up becoming a classroom teacher. That's
mhm.
exciting. That's an exciting way to join the profession. I'm sure you saw some things that you were curious about. So tell us a little bit more about your school community, about how many students and what's the makeup of your school?
So we are grades pre-K through fifth. It's one teacher per grade level. So we're a small school. We're small in numbers, but we are big in confidence. We have great admin here who supports the teachers, the students, the community as well. Parents, we have great parent involvement who's always hands-on in the classroom, calling, do I need to come volunteer? So elementary is a big family. That's what we like to say. It's a big family.
Outstanding. And all children need that, but especially our
Mhm.
early learners who are just
Yeah.
getting started. So much can either motivate and excite them about learning early on, or
Mhm.
it could deter them. And it sounds like you guys are really about getting kids excited and motivated
Yes.
to learn. Ms. Griffin, when you think about early literacy development, what are the most important skills that young learners need to become strong readers? And what is the role of today's classroom teacher in that?
So early on, I noticed that everything comes back to reading. If a student struggles with reading, it impacts their confidence and their ability to succeed in every subject. That's what pushed me to really focus on early literacy. I've made it a priority in my classroom to build strong reading foundations. I've seen the impact firsthand through student growth and increased confidence. I take a lot of pride in creating a classroom where students not only learn how to read, but actually enjoy reading and feel confident while doing so. So
Yes.
for me, it's about making sure my students leave my classroom with both the skills and belief that they can be successful readers. The most important foundational skills are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Students need to understand how sound works and how those sounds connect to letters and be able to read them smoothly and understand what they're reading. It also builds on each other. So if one piece is missing, it can impact everything else.
Yes. You're right. All of those pieces work together like a puzzle. And so
Mhm.
you teach first grade, Miss Griffin,
Second grade.
second grade. So,
Mhm.
what advice do you have to kindergarten and first grade teachers who might think it's too early for comprehension questions? How do you respond to that
I
as a
say
second grade teacher?
I say be consistent and intentional. I taught kindergarten for 4 years before I became a second grade teacher. So I know firsthand what kindergarten students need in order to be successful readers. And it goes back to phonics. If you have a strong phonics foundation, everything else will build on itself. And so to kindergarten and first grade teachers, just being consistent and intentional in those skills, and also them using data to guide the instruction. And like I tell my people here, let's not wait to intervene. If we wait to intervene, whether it's kindergarten or first, something is going to be missing somewhere. So it's important to stay persistent, consistent, and intentional.
When I was sent to the primary school as a principal, I was terrified of kindergarten, and that's the grades that you started with.
Yeah.
So early on, I was so concerned about how do we meet the needs of these kids? Because when
Mhm.
I became a principal, they weren't even in the building. It was the pandemic, right? So,
Mhm.
how do we make sure that we don't continue to allow these gaps to increase, even though we're in a space that is not traditional? We still have to figure out a way to meet their needs. And to your point, in early childhood, it is
Mhm.
so crucial and so critical that you intervene, that you don't wait to
Mhm.
intervene because they're developing so swiftly and so
Mhm.
rapidly at that age, and that foundation is being laid. And
Yes.
so, if we wait, like you said, if we don't intervene for the right reasons, if we
Mhm.
don't consult the data and use that to drive our decision making, we are doing our littlest ones. So thank you for sharing how important it really is. And you mentioned phonics. What are both effective and engaging ways that you support your students in becoming proficient in phonics? And then what role does technology play in your approach to teaching phonics?
So I make my classroom a safe space where mistakes are a part of learning. I celebrate effort, not just correct answers, and I give students plenty of opportunities to practice without pressure. I also think about psychologist Eric Erickson said about the importance of building a sense of competence in students. When students feel capable and successful, it increases their motivation to keep trying. So I focus on creating small wins for my students and encouraging them consistently. When they start to believe in themselves, they're much more willing to take risks and grow as readers. And technology plays a huge part in my classroom, especially with Amira. We love Amira in room 256. We love Amira because Amira, she's like me, she encourages. And when you have a teacher encouraging you and you have a program encouraging you, they have a lot of encouragement. So it's easy for them to adapt and be consistent in their reading, whether it's phonics, whether it's reading comprehension. Me as a teacher, Amira on the program, we are encouraging and we're pushing our scholars to be the best leaders they can be.
Yes. That's outstanding. You also mentioned fluency as a key part of your students' reading development. And of
Mhm.
course, we know that takes lots of time on tongue. But there's only one Miss Griffin. What classroom number did you tell me? Room 250?
256.
Room 256?
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
only one Miss Griffin. So, Miss Griffin, how do you use AI to help your students get their time on tongue when there is just one of you in room 256?
I also have a para. I have to shout her out as well. Miss Kennedy, she is amazing. She helps us out a lot. And I say us because even sometimes Miss Olivia head is not all the way screwed on sometimes. She helps us out in here as well. But at first, a lot of people didn't really like AI in the classroom. And when you look at the data and you see the ways that AI has helped and going back to that encouragement and pushing students, AI also allows students to, going back to what I said before, have those wins. When they see their progress themselves, it's like a aha moment. Wow, I did that. So AI pushes that encouragement. It pushes that consistency among the students.
Absolutely. You're in Louisiana
Mhm.
and you guys have a different accent, some different dialects. I'm sure you're working with multilingual learners.
Yes.
Let's talk about language barriers here. How do you develop the foundational skills of students who might have a different language barrier or speaking a different language or be an English language learner?
I had a ill and I was like, how am I going to reach the student? What can I do? And my teacher mind is like going at 1,000 miles per hour. And for one, research. No matter how long you've been an educator in the classroom, research is very essential because you learn new things even as an educator. And that's my first step in researching. How can I help? What can I do? What small group interventions can I work with this ELL with? And especially if their first language is their language. Thankfully, she knew some English, but she was not strong in English. So what I did was, of course, everything had English and it also had her home language on paper and on the computer. And as a teacher, I would translate here, translate there, and it helped. It helped. It helped a lot. And we put her on a mirror for one day. And in that one day, she was amazed at herself. And she came in a strong reader as well. But she was like, oh, I like this. This is really fun. I was like, I know, right? So that was really fun.
I saw the confidence increase with our students as well. We had about maybe 40% of our students were English
Mhm.
language learners. And I saw the confidence increase within them. And I saw
Mhm.
them celebrate
Mhm.
themselves as well. And it really does make you feel good as a teacher to know that even though there's just one of me, there's
Yes.
another resource that I can
Mhm.
partner with, or there are
Mhm.
other resources out here that I can partner with to make sure that my students get what they need from me as well
Yes.
as other pieces and resources. So thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. Let's talk about early identification and parent communication. What would you tell a parent who may not understand the importance of early learning before students even enter pre-K and kindergarten?
So, some early signs include difficulty recognizing sounds, struggling to blend words, slow reading, or avoid reading altogether. When I noticed this, I intervened quickly with small group instruction, targeted phonics support, and extra practice. I also keep in mind, because I'm a big psychologist nerd, I keep in mind that Abraham Maslow emphasized that students' basic needs have to be met first before they are fully engaged in learning. So I make my students feel safe, supported, and confident because when those needs are met, they are much more ready to grow. And when I was a kindergarten teacher, I used to go speak with the Head Start. It was right beside our old school, and they used to ask me to come talk to the parents. And these babies were coming to Head Start, and they were fresh out, like fresh from home. And I always encourage them to let them be independent. That's the first step. They have to be independent. And somebody said, "What does that mean? What does that look like?" Because she's only 3, she's only 4. And I said, "That's fine. Let her do things on her own. Let her build up her own independence because when they're independent and they come to school, that skill is already met. The next skill is learning. And then you start to put two and two together, and then they start to grow as learners. And it excites me because I'm smiling now because I've watched that. I've watched students come into my room, kindergarten room, who's never been to Head Start, pre-K. They came straight from home into kindergarten. And when I talk to the parents that I used to have all the time, I say, hey, they have to learn independence first. Once they learn that, everything else follows. I also tell parents to practice with them at home, read to them, let them read to you. And when they get through reading, ask them, what did you just read? What were some characters in this? Or what's going on? Can you summarize what's going on? All of that builds fluency. It builds, again, that same word again, it builds confidence. When students are confident, everything else will follow.
The early childhood piece, Miss Griffin, and you have given me so much, I guess, confirmation in my spirit as a mom
Mhm.
and educator, because I have a little one who is
Mhm.
3, We were told that he had some challenges and we've worked through those. And
Mhm.
we were actually just informed this week that he is no longer in need of speech therapy because of what we put in at home over the last 8 months to
Mm.
get him to be able to speak clearly and
Mhm.
appropriately for his age as a 3 year old. Also, I really want to take a moment to reiterate this. So many parents might be met with waiting lists if they're told that their child has some sort of learning difference or
Yeah.
challenge or
Mhm.
developmental difference. There are things that parents can do at home in the waiting period. I had a 6 month waiting period. But in those 6 to 8 months, I
Mhm.
did things at home before my child could even get assessed. And
Yes.
so those are the types of messages that I hope that you will continue to share with Head Start and
Mhm.
that these messages will reach other parents and early childhood educators through our podcast. Because
Yes.
what happens during a child's early development, it's their foundation and everything else will be built
Mhm.
off
Yes.
of it. So thank you for sharing that and for also confirming in my spirit that early childhood intervention, it can be magical.
Yeah. And it's hard work. I personally do not have any kids. My sister has 3, but she's also an educator, and watching her
Yeah.
from the time they were sitting up, she was on it, just showing them a card or a letter and just matching that letter with the sound.
Yeah.
Then 1 year, then 2 year, then 3 year. By the time they get to Head Start, if parents take the initiative and practice at home and be hands-on with them, and by the time they get to school, they
Yeah.
are ready to go.
Yeah. It's really exciting to see the development, like your sister
Mhm,
reading at home early on. It's paid off. He can decode
mhm,
words and read sentences and cite
mhm.
words. And he's 3, and we can't believe it. But we know, like you said, we put that hard work in, and it's just become a part of the routine at home so that when he finally does reach school, that won't be so much of a struggle. And independence, even
Yes,
practicing things with early learners, like teaching them to put on their own shirt,
yes,
making sure they can put on their own shoes and socks. Those are some of the things that we would notice at our school as well,
mhm.
especially right after the pandemic when they had missed so much schooling. So
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
for sharing that and bringing back those memories.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about building confidence and risk taking. How do you create a classroom environment where the students feel safe and celebrated, as well as motivated to take those risks? How do you celebrate and motivate students?
So when they get in here in the class 256, the very first day I give a speech. It's the same speech I give every year. Do I add some stuff? Of course, because every group of students are different. But when they get in here, I say, you are with me for the next 8 months, and I am in charge of getting you to the top. Will you get there? Absolutely. Will it be easy? No, it will not. But you will get there. And I do that same speech every year, and of course, like I said, I add some, take some away, and they're looking at me like, "Huh? It's only August. What is she talking about?" And I talk about how reading, science, social studies, and math, all these different subjects that I teach, it can get hard. But I tell my students, "You're with me, I'm with you, 7:30 to 3 o'clock every day. If you think we're not gonna get to the top by the time this last Dibbles test, you got another thing coming." You have students who come in lower than others because every child is on a different level, and that's okay. But I celebrate that. I had a little boy, he just came in and was like, "Look, I can't do none of this. I'm not a good reader. I'm not good at math." And I'm like, "Yes, you are." I said, "You are a math wizard. You are a reading king." I said, "You can do this." And the more we build on students' confidence, the more they're willing to do for you. And I want to go back to, I think her name is Rita Pearson. She says, students do not learn from people they do not like. I am a living witness to that. And when students respect and love and care for you the way that you respect, love, and care for them, the confidence is there, but the willingness is there as well. You have a lot of teachers who say, they won't do this for me, or she won't do this for me. Have you built a relationship with the student first? Building a relationship with the student first, it works magic.
Yes.
And I'm a living witness, it works magic. So in this classroom, I build confidence. I build and I maintain a relationship with my students all throughout the year. And I still have kindergarten kids calling me from 2020. Okay. So that speaks volume to me as an educator and as a person because I pour everything I have into my babies. I do. And you notice I said my babies.
Yes, that is not only true for children and teachers, also true for leadership and their
Yeah.
teachers. You
Yes.
were able to create that environment because of what I saw when your principal came into the room. Saw such a warmth between
Mhm.
you and your principal, how supportive that she is, and that type of leadership, that type of relationship building that she's doing with her team, that
Mhm.
makes it so much easier for you to also create those environments for the children in your school. It's really
Mm.
cool. So I'm happy I got a chance to meet her and saw that.
She's
Um,
awesome.
talking about celebrations, what types of Amira celebrations do you guys have going on at your school?
So for Dale Elementary School, we have something called Amira Awards. We do this every Friday. Since I'm the champion, I pull all the data. I'll look over it on a Thursday evening, and then I pick one top reader from each grade level. So that's kindergarten through fifth grade. And whoever has the most stories read, of course, they take home that title in their grade level. And I have either bag of candy, we have toys. We always have a certificate and a gift, basically. And it's done Fridays in the assembly in front of the whole school. So pre-K through fifth grade is there, admin is there, the instructional coaches are there, everybody's there.
It's a
Uh,
really big deal.
it's a really big deal. It's a really big deal. And then shout out to Miss Faith. She came, I think it was around Valentine's Day, sometime in February, I want to say, and she gave us a spot. Yes. And that was for the top class of the week. And when she brought that animal here, it has erupted the school. We have been in competition. Kids are stopping me in the hall. Miss Olivia, we want a whole spot this week. I'm like, hold up. Give me some space. Let me. And I'm laughing. I'm smiling because I love the wantingness. They want to read. And I love that. And they, of course, get their spot certificate and adoption certificate, and I give them spot to hold for that whole week. And some of the teachers walking around with spots because they like, look, we took that home this week, okay? But it's not like a competition to where it's nasty. It's a
Right.
competition of continuation. It's a competition of congratulations, y'all did good this week, or your class read a whole lot this week because I pulled data in fourth grade had two top readers. And so when I announced it in the assembly, they look at like that's how they did. They did like each other. Oh, you read the same thing I read, or same stories. And the principals just smiled because it was like, whoa, man, competition. And I like to say, oh, the competition is heating up in fifth grade today or fourth grade this week. But fifth grade has had the title of the top grade level for the past 2 weeks.
That's
And
exciting.
first grade, and I think it was kindergarten, they looking at me like, "Are you making some mistake somewhere?" I'm like, "No." Fifth grade has been showing out, and the principal was crying because she was like, "Do you know that group never
Mhm.
liked to read?" I
Wow.
said, "I heard." And she was crying, of course. And she's, oh my goodness. She said, the willingness of these babies to want to read and want to show up and show out for their grade level is just beyond amazing. And I said, yes, ma'am. That's what Amira does. Amira pushes confidence. It pushes the willingness of wanting to read. And I love it. I love it.
Wow. Olivia, thank you so much for sharing that. I almost don't have to ask you this question because you just displayed it in your answer and in your excitement and
Mhm.
so much passion that you have for what you do and for motivating and celebrating students. But what is teaching joy to you?
Ooh, I hope I don't start crying. Teaching joy is seeing that moment when it finally clicks for a student. It's that aha moment. It's watching them go from I can't or I don't know or not feeling as confident to wow, I did it. And oh my, though that's my score. It's knowing that I played a role in building their confidence and setting them up for success. And I want to go back to one of my own kids this year who struggled from the time he walked in, from I'm going to say to January. And of course, it's external factors and things like that. But January, I'm gonna say the second week of January, he's like he shot up everything from grades to dibbles, and I'm like, and I call him son, son. You showed up and showed out. And another thing I want to add is that when my kids take a test, I call them to my desk so they can see their grade. And with him, when he started seeing hundreds, 95s, 80, 85s, even 70s, this my grade. I said, whose name is that? He said, that's my name. I said, yeah, that's your name. You did that. So that's a teaching joy for me to see kids like him. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I can do that to, oh, that's my scores. Or I made that on Dibbles. Yes. Yes, you did. So that's the teaching joy, the aha moment for me. I'm getting emotional, but it's okay.
But that's what we do.
Yeah.
Not everybody has the heart of a teacher. There are so many teachers, but not everyone has the heart of a teacher. But you do for sure. There's so many others that I get to meet. And your passion today has just been evident. I'm so excited that I got a chance to talk to you. So excited that I had a chance to pop into your champions meeting in Louisiana with Faith. And so happy that you agreed to participate. Is there anything else, Olevia, before I sign off, that you would like to share with any other educators who, or even leaders? It could be teachers or leaders who may not be sure about using a learning agent or implementing AI with early learners. What advice might you give them?
I have 2 words and 2 words only. Do it. Do it. Do it because Amira or even other AI programs build confidence. They push students to want to do it. And if you celebrate them, whether it's in your classroom, whether it's in the gym, whether it's school wide, however you choose to celebrate them, once you celebrate them, they're going to have that confidence. You're going to build the confidence, and they're going to continue with their confidence. And I love that word confidence because that's all kids need is confidence. Once they have that confidence, everything else follows. So 2 words, do it.
Do it. I love it. So simple and so
Do
profound.
it.
Do it. I love it. Olevia, can we get your best? Let's get this reading party started.
Let's get this reading party started.
Great job, Miss Griffin. Olevia, thank you for sharing your insight, your passions, and your commitment to early literacy with us today. Your work reminds us that when we invest in strong foundational skills with early learners, we can change the trajectory of our students' learning foundations for years to come. To our listeners, thank you for joining us for another episode of Amira's Champion Every Voice podcast. Keep supporting educators and keep giving every child a chance to become a reader. Until next time.